path to Melva is silent now. Only the whispers of the wind and the rustle of the leaves accompany you as you make your way through the woods. It's hard to imagine that over a century ago this was a thriving town, alive with the sounds of trains, children's laughter, and the hum of daily life. Located just a few miles south of Branson, Missouri, Melva was established in 1906 as a promising railroad town. Its lifeline was the Missouri Pacific Railroad, connecting it to the bustling world beyond the Ozarks. Goods were shipped, families settled, and the town grew with hope and ambition. With the schoolhouse perched on a hill, a general store, and homes lining the tracks, Melva was a symbol of progress. It was a town where the whistle of trains brought opportunity, and neighbors shared the joys of a close-knit community. But today, Melva is a ghost town. Nature has reclaimed its streets, leaving behind little more than whispers of what once was. And yet, the silence here isn't empty. It's filled with the echoes of lives lived, dreams chased, and a community forever etched in the land it once called home. On March 11th, 1920, a devastating tornado erased Melva from the map, but its story endures as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. At the heart of Melva stood the home of Lucy Woods, a Presbyterian missionary who was the guiding light of this community. Her home, built with a massive stone fireplace, was a gathering place for Sunday school lessons and quiet moments of prayer. That Thursday morning, Lucy tended to her chores just like her neighbors. The morning was dark and foreboding, with heavy rain and hail battering the town. Turkey Creek, swollen from the storm, raged dangerously nearby. By noon, the sky had turned black. Lucy, sensing the danger, sought refuge by her fireplace, joined by her neighbor, Mrs. Beale. The two women held on as the tornado roared through Melva, tearing apart everything in its path. When it was over, Lucy's house was gone, but the fireplace and the two women had survived. And while Lucy and Mrs. Beale survived, others were not so fortunate. Among the hardest hit were Anna Box and her sister Florence Box, whose homes were near Turkey Creek. That morning, Anna had finished her washing and walked with her three children, Merle, 12, Lolita, 9, and George, 5, to visit her sister. The two families sat down for lunch together, watching the darkening clouds. Florence, pregnant with her fifth child, held her own children close, Hubert, 13, Jesse, 10, Nancy, 5, and John, who was just 2. As a storm approached, Florence urged everyone to wait before eating. "That cloud looks awful bad," she said. But before they could react, a tornado struck with a deafening roar. The world went black. Anna and Florence were both thrown into the raging waters of Turkey Creek, along with their children. When Anna regained consciousness, she clung to a piece of wood in the creek, praying for her children. But they were gone. Merle, Olita, and George all lost to the storm. Florence's heartbreak was even greater. All 4 of her children were killed, and the baby she carried would be stillborn the next day. Anna and Florence survived, but their lives were forever changed. The railroad that once brought life to Melva became a lifeline in its darkest hour. After the storm, survivors like Anna and Florence were carried by train to Branson, where emergency medical care awaited. The same tracks that connected Melva to the outside world now bore the weight of its loss. The Box sisters were heroes in their own right, enduring unimaginable loss and fighting to rebuild their lives in the shadow of unthinkable tragedy. While children bore the brunt of the tornado's fury, 2 adults also lost their lives that day. Cora Howard, a mother of 5, died protecting her youngest child, a 3-year-old William. Clutching him tightly, she shielded him from the storm's debris. When rescuers found him, Cora had succumbed to her injuries, but William miraculously survived with only minor wounds. Miss Frances Frankie Johnson, age 45, sustained several injuries during the Melva tornado, including a fractured skull and concussion of the brain. She succumbed to these injuries on the Sunday following the storm. The tornado didn't just tear homes apart. It carried people far from where they sought shelter. Cora Howard's children recall how the storm lifted them into the air, scattering them across the landscape. When they were found, some had coals from their fireplaces burned into their shoes, a haunting reminder of how even their hiding places of refuge could not protect them. Rescuers like John Rittenhouse were among the first to arrive at the scene. At the Howard home, he found Cora's daughters, Nezzie, Edith, and Ruby, badly injured and in shock. Many in the town suffered injuries, including broken bones, such as Miss Sarah Oliver, who reportedly sustained a broken thigh. Turkey Creek was transformed into a chaotic torrent that day, carrying debris, homes, and lives downstream. It became both a graveyard and a symbol of the storm's merciless force. Neighbors like Ben Layton risked the rushing creek to rescue survivors clinging to bushes or fragments of wood. The storm's fury extended far beyond Melva. Pieces of the town were found miles and sometimes counties away. In Loring, Missouri, a tax receipt belonging to J.P. Gross was discovered in the woods, having traveled nearly 70 miles. An unopened letter postmarked in Melva was found near a field in Hartville, over 80 miles from where it had been sent. These fragments of Melva's life, scattered across the Ozarks, became poignant reminders of the storm's incredible power. The schoolhouse on the hill was empty that day, as its teacher, Miss Jean Layton, couldn't cross the flooded creek. This decision spared many lives, but the loss of the children who stayed home weighed heavily on the community. The foundation remains a silent testament to the futures lost in the storm. In the years following the tornado, Melva never recovered. Families moved away, homes were abandoned, and the town faded into memory. But Melva's story didn't end with the storm. In 1929, 9 years after the tragedy, Gail Wade was born in Melva. Despite the town's decline, Gail grew up to become a professional baseball player, a center fielder for the Chicago Cubs in the 1950s. Gail's achievements were a testament to the resilience of the spirit of the people of Melva, a spark of hope born from the ashes of devastation.
Didn't know what to expect coming out here today on Thanksgiving, and pretty easy place to find. Kind of just, I don't know. It's kind of sad. You know, there's people here that live their lives and just one day, man, out of nowhere, massive tornado comes in and takes everything, you know. Think about 9 children, 2 adults. One adult lady lost 3 of her kids, another one lost 4 of her kids, and you know, you think about that in real life, what that would mean and what an impact that would have. And you know, it's amazing that this is the only structure really that's left. You can see a little bit of foundation stuff maybe around, but really this is it. You know, a tornado came in and it did its job, man. It came in from the south, so it came up that way, and you could see it coming over the mountains, and the fact that the bodies were, you know, all these bodies were found all the way down to the creek, which is you know, it's significant. It is all downhill, but man, still, that would be terrible. And of course, the creek was so flooded that there was no ability to really even ford it to the other side. There were some bodies that were all the way over to the other side, and they couldn't get to them because they had had so much rain the week before, the day before, and then that obviously with the tornado itself. And so they couldn't even get across the creek to get the bodies until the water, you know, went down. And it's kind of crazy. And, you know, as crazy as that is, you also see, like, how the human spirit goes on. You know, there's people that live here up until, I mean, the 30s, I know for sure. You know, and you're pretty far out here. Obviously, the railroad was right nearby, but you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of fun though to think like, this is a railroad town. Had a good stopping point. They could have expanded on this flat stretch here. Wonder what this town would have became. Just makes you wonder. God bless you, Melva. Rest in peace.
Today, the stone fireplace of Lucy Wood's home stands as a monument to survival and strength. The stories of Anna and Florence Box, Lucy Woods, Cora Howard, and all those who lived here remind us of the enduring spirit of humanity. Though Melva is gone, its legacy lives on. In the lives it shaped, the stories we tell, and the lessons of resilience it left behind. Because even in the face of unimaginable tragedy and adversity, humans have an incredible ability to endure. Like Lucy's fireplace, we may be battered and broken, but we remain standing. We rebuild, we remember, and we honor the past as we move forward. This is a story of Melva. Not just a story of loss, but a story of survival and the strength of the human spirit.